Okay, in this episode, we're going to go ahead and add another chord to our situation here. If you haven't watched the previous episodes, please go back and do so because we're going to talk about a lot of things that I may have covered in those, and I don't want to rehash that every time. Because this is meant to go in kind of chronological order, we're kind of building on a concept of modal interchange and chordal modal interchange, using chords, not just scales over drones, but chords. So I'm going to do something a little different beginning this episode. I want to show how note choice and execution actually makes a big difference. If I take this chromatic harmony sequence, the fully diminished of 2, then 5, 1, and I have a course on chromatic harmony and do it like this, it's going to sound pretty, very diatonic, very straightforward. But if I do it like this, same chord sequence, sounds completely different. This is note choice and execution, so that part's up to you. So let's take Dorian for instance, doing it like this. The way I'm executing it and the sound I'm getting will sound completely different than this. If I do it like this, Dorian. So again, a few episodes we saw how important note choice was to the sound you get. So I can't teach you that part. You have to do that on your own by studying style. So let's go ahead and start with the Ionian, the chords of Ionian, the chords of Lydian, now chords of parallel minor, and we saw that with Mixolydian, that there's two chords that are also common to parallel minor. The the G and the E minor. We added the flat 3 in the previous episode, now we're adding the flat 6. So let's just go ahead and get started, create chord sequences. This is one of the most common things that you'll hear in film scores is chromatic median effect between the 1 and the flat 6. You could use Lydian on each instance, which would be, in the case of F, it would still be the same notes of parallel minor. So stuff like that is super common in Hollywood stuff. It's almost generically common, I hate to say, but let's go ahead and do 1, flat 6, 4, 1. So we have a total chromatic median chain there. So let's choose some scale choices just for the heck of it. Let's take Lydian on the A. The F, you use the natural minor notes of A. And then on the D, we'll use the Mixolydian notes. That's the easiest way to look at it because the return point is still A. And we'll just do simple phrases like this. Keep it simple. We're going to keep everything simple. Let's just start with another one. We'll do a 1 chord, the A, the F chord in first inversion, then a G, then a D in first inversion. 1, flat 6, flat 7, 4. You've probably heard these sequences many times. I'll just make it slightly musical. Now on the 4 chord I went into root position on the last time. So again we have a 1, a flat 6, a flat 7, a 4. And also don't be afraid of chromatic melodies like that. So let's go ahead and keep going. Let's take a 1 from A, flat 6, minor 5, 1. And actually what we'll do is we'll start the phrase out in A major, between a 1 and a 4. Just so we have a little bit of mixture here besides just the borrowed chords. It's a nice way to end a phrase like that. So I'll play through the chords here again. 1, major 4, 1, flat 6, minor 5, 1. So the borrowed chords help give a little bit of color to the major there, which changes the feel. So let's move on. Let's take the A major, the 1, the regular 6, and then go down to the flat 6, common tone. Then the flat 7 and 1. And that's actually a very common move, flat 6, flat 7, 1. Trying to make it musical. I like to make things slightly musical, just so it's not just a bunch of chords running into each other. So let's do something. This is super common. 1, flat 7, flat 6, flat 7, 1. This is super common. So something like this using that sequence would be very, very common. Regular 4. Sticking that regular 4 actually kind of gives us a slight cadence feel. So 1, flat 7, flat 6, flat 7, 1, flat 7, flat 6, flat 7, 4. Just the 4 to give us a kind of a cadence feel. It's almost plagal. So let's take some of the moves we've learned before. Let's take the regular 3 and do the tritone effect to the flat 7, to the 2, move it up a half step to the flat 3, the flat 6, the flat 7, the 1. So the choices are almost endless, but so it makes starting on that A so much more colorful. So moving on, let's use a 1, a flat 7, a flat 3, a flat 6, a minor 5, 1. Okay. We'll just keep it really simple. Learn how to apply complex chords later on. Just learn the basics for now. I always keep saying that. This would actually sound kind of cool down low. And if you're ever curious, like people like John Williams, James Newton Howard, what they're doing, they're using a lot of this borrowing. That's all they're doing. So keeping going, we're going to do a 1 minor 5, a flat 6, a flat 7, 1. So making it musical, a little bit of improv. Makes a very nice, lovely sequence. So we're just going to keep going. We're going to use a regular 1, a 4, a flat 6, a flat 3, a flat 7, regular 4, 1. You notice I'm pivoting a lot off that regular 4 instead of the 5 chord. Because it gives it more of that modality kind of sound. Here's an interesting thing you could do actually. You could do the regular 1, 5, the Lydian 2, the 5, the 1, the regular 4, the borrowed flat 7, flat 3, flat 6, flat 3, flat 7, 4, 1. Why does that work? Because you're going around the circle of fifths, literally, in both directions. Now it would take a very strong motif and time, well, a sense of timing and a strong motif will actually help something like that hold together because it's a very long extended sequence. So I'm not very good at improvising that stuff in because I'm not a native keyboard player. I'm much better at doing that stuff in notation. So that's literally going clockwise in the circle of fifths, then counterclockwise, then clockwise again until you get back to the A. That's all that was. So again, I want to stress the note choices, and aside from the chord changes, the note choices and the way it's executed stylistically is going to determine your sound, not the chords themselves, not the bass progressions. It's chord sequences by themselves do not make music. But I still suggest you learning the basic chord sequences because you could adapt it to your style. And truthfully, I suggest studying in more than one style, especially if you want to understand different styles. You may see a lot more. Truthfully, I was telling somebody the other day that I see actually when they ask me how I able to switch between styles so easy. And it's mostly because I see a lot of commonalities, not differences. Like in the little chromatic harmony sequence we did at the beginning. It could sound two ways, very diatonic, or it can sound kind of, slightly bluesy or slightly jazzy, depending on the way you execute it and the note choices. This is the same with modal interchange. That's all going to be a big factor. In fact, I encourage students to not get locked into specific styles, even though they may have a favorite style, because that actually becomes limiting. Mostly because of crossover value. You could take something you learned from a completely different style and adapt it to the music you like.